Hi, and welcome to another one-to-one thing dropping event, Water Cooler. I'm the resident water cooler stalker, Steve Wright. And if you're watching, thanks for watching. If you've got something that just popped into your LinkedIn feed that says, oh, Steve Wright's gone live, and you want to join me here, please do feel free. It is open to anyone who's got the link or is in sort of my area or network. This is streamed to my Facebook group, The Managers Who Lead, on Facebook, and also in obviously in as a LinkedIn Live. So I'm here every Wednesday, and it's always daunting. It's just weird because I don't always know what is going to transpire in terms of conversations. But I trust that the universe is going to bring enlightenment, learning, insight, and it's really just building that muscle. Sometimes you just got to show up and do your thing, dance like no one's watching, or in this case, walk up at a live when no one's watching, like no one's watching. So, so that's me in a nutshell. The one-to-one thing is my podcast. I've been doing it for a year and a half now, and just coming up to about 90 episodes. I had some fantastic guests this week that I've been talking to. Three ladies, and really all of them very unique in their own way in terms of what they do, and just uh, really positive, great conversations. And I always like doing the podcast because it does give me a chance to organically converse, um, see where people are at, what the organizing principles are for what they do, how they show up in the world. And for me, that's really it really just kind of it lights me up as uh, a underlying introvert. Although you think it's kind of strange being on a platform like this, um, it's really useful. It's really helpful for me just to have those conversations where we can just talk a bit more, get a bit deeper. So I'm looking forward to producing and getting those shows out there. Um, one will drop tomorrow, if not Friday. I normally have a Thursday um, schedule, but some things are going on this week that may push that out to Friday. But I'll back into a cadence on that. So looking forward to making that happen. I've got some people joining here. Let's have a look. Uh, Justin's on and Alex. Talking about oh, this is beautiful. How are you, Alex? It's great to see you.
It's good to see you too. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Although you're often top of mind, just in terms of in terms of who you are and what you do. So I love that. And Justin, oh, Justin's got something going on. 1 second. That's fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You pop across my feed every week and I'm like, dang, I got something going on. Dang, I got something going on. And today I didn't. So I was like, let me just jump in.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. And we've got Margaret Barry joining us as well. Margaret, it's great to see you.
Lovely to see you too.
Yes, twice this week. But Margaret, it's first time. Yeah, I think it's your first time here in a drop in. So welcome. Let me take my thing off here and give some more real estate here. Margaret Barry's in the UK. Introduce yourself. Justin is dear friend, former work colleague out of San Diego. Well, I worked in San Diego. He lives in Oklahoma. And Alex can introduce herself as well. So just say hi. Tell them what you do.
Hi to both of you. Lovely to meet you. What do I do? Lots of things.
Bakes cakes.
But majorly, I do coaching, which is focused on helping people to reduce their burnout chances and enable them to bring their whole selves to whatever it is they do joyfully. Very important.
That's it. That's it. Um, yeah. Margaret's daughter, Heather. Yeah, she runs a group talking about master goals, and we catch up on a regular basis on a Tuesday with her with her group, and it's just great to see you here, Margaret.
Lovely to be
Alex,
here.
share a little bit for Margaret. It's interesting
Please.
people saying hi to each other.
I love that. That's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to jump on, because I forget that, you meet such cool people that you would never cross paths with otherwise, right?
Yes.
And I love the work that you do, Margaret. I think it's so important.
Thank you.
And when I was in corporate, man, could have I used your help, because that's one of the reasons why I left, right? So it's what I just to answer your question, Steve. So what I do is I work with newly single women who don't recognize who they are after coming out of a relationship, whether it's a marriage or a long-term relationship, and I help them to kind of rediscover their identities, reclaim their lives, and basically who they are, and then from there we rebuild their life on their terms. So it's work that is close to my heart because it mirrors my story, and I love doing it.
Actually, I would love to have a one-to-one with you sometime, Alex, because
Okay.
Don't laugh. I come from a very big family, the only girl at the bottom end. And in the days that I was a girl, you were just a girl. Girls can't this and they can't that and they can't do the next thing, So it's a passion for me to help women stand up.
Step into their power. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm very excited. Sorry, I'm taking over, but I don't wish to. I have just been approached by, and Steve, you will know, an authoress who has asked me, I won a competition that she launched, to tell a story from my own life experience that would inspire women.
Very cool.
Fantastic.
Very cool. Very cool.
Fantastic. Justin.
Hi.
share how you show up, bro, apart from just walking up at I don't know what time it is, 1:30 your time or 10:30.
That's 10:30.
10:30 your time.
10:30. What do you mean? I don't know. I'm just here. I'm just here. I don't do anything fancy. I don't help, I don't touch people. I don't share stories. I don't do any of that. I just, I'm just who I am.
Well, I'm gonna step in by proxy, and Carl's just joined us. And before Carl,
yeah, it's time for Carl's intro anyway. Go on.
Justin is doing himself a disservice. Justin is one of the most
he's carefully selecting a word.
Well, we know because there's a lot of words that come to mind when I think of him. Real quick. Our story started by I hired Justin at the software company I was working at, and Justin was a tough hire, to put it that way. It not in terms of being difficult, but it just I knew by the thoughtfulness that he had about the transition that I had to sit with him on that journey, as opposed to kind of go like, come on, make your mind up. I've got resumes to go through. And we went backwards and forwards quite a bit, to the point where my boss thought he was surprised that we still we still had the engagement. But you know what? I tell the story because that was 8.
Yeah, almost. Around this same time, 8 years ago. Yeah,
8 years ago, and he's true. He's true to who he is, man. So I love that. I love that about him.
That's in the podcast epispisode, right?
You are, and no, it's crazy to the point where we made a detour, me and another co-worker, to meet up with Justin in his hometown in Oklahoma while we were flying across country from a
Wow.
retreat in California, and just to make sure we saw him. He couldn't make it to the retreat, so we came to him. We brought the retreat to him, and he's been a refreshing and a dear friend since. So he was so much worth the work. Anyway, that's Justin in a nutshell.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. What I took from that is I take every situation I'm a part of and I just make it that much more difficult. If it's hiring, if it's travel, if it's anything, I'm just gonna take up the difficulty. That's what I do.
Because you're worth it, like L'Oreal says.
I just think you want to scare us.
Again, I'm just keeping it real. I just make situations more difficult. So it is what it is. Anybody that knows me personally, including Steve, can attest to that. I'll take a normal situation and make it difficult.
Yeah,
So
add some polish.
yeah.
That's what we call it. Carl, good to see you, bro.
Good afternoon.
Oh,
How are
good.
you? Hello to everyone.
I was getting a monologue ready because I never know who's going to show. So I start at 4:30 and I start talking, and then I go like, and I was writing down some notes, and I thought to myself, you know what? There's three books that I'm reading, I'm consuming because I'm reading and or listening to, and two of them are by Adam Grant, which is Give and Take and Think Again. Think Again's doing my head in. It's really, really good. And the other one is that multinational bestseller, Retire Inspire
Retire
2. And I started because it's a collection of stories. I started with yours because it was just in the middle of the book, bro.
Oh, okay. What do you think on a live stream? Don't pull any punches.
I like it. I mean, you've commented around it saying that you're not a writer, and you're giving a background to it, or you're now leaning into the identity of being a writer. And yeah, it's great. I love the visualization, and I love the engagement. I got engaged into the story real quick, and it's some good insight. I mean, you're a smart guy, and you've done a lot of things in your space, and it shows that it's not just about being technically adept. It's about really being able to tell a story and impart insights to somebody, and you do that well. So I like it. I'm going to go through the others, and great topics though. Retire to Inspire.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Steve, what was?
I've enjoyed reading everyone else's more than my own. Well, I've already read that, but it's lovely to get insights from other people. I'm joining a session tonight with one of the co-authors. It's opened up a whole new kind of spectrum of activity and a different group. It's amazing. How it's happened, and I'm literally up to chapter 4 in my next book, and I only really put pen to paper on Sunday evening. I'm up to chapter 4, and I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I've got to get this thing done. So I've set myself a challenge, and I'm gonna do it. But it's got to deliver for the author. It's not just about writing words in a short time frame. It's making sure that it delivers for the reader, not the author. It's about them. So hopefully it's for coaches. It's a book that I'm writing for coaches. So watch this space.
Everyone's got a book inside them.
Steve, what was I got Think Again. What was the other one you mentioned besides Retire Inspire?
Give and Take.
Give and Take.
Yeah.
And the other one? You said there was another one, Steve.
The 3 books was
Think
your
Again.
book, Retire Inspired 2. You just want me to say it again, right? Retire
What was that? No, the other one's the
difficult.
And then
I'm making it
and the other one was Think Again.
Think Again. Okay.
Think Again. That one's really interesting. Just the
same author.
Yeah, Adam Grant, very sharp guy. That the mindset of rethinking. well, I'm guilty of it in terms of, you know, you take your time to come to a decision, and then you stick to it, you know. And sometimes you can entrench yourself in that. And you know, think again can sound like you're changing your mind, or you're vacillating, or you're flip-flopping. But I think in some respects it's useful to actually go through the exercise of rethinking something, because it may just you can double down. You know, you can sort of say, yeah, I'm on what I'm it's warranted a rethink because it's time to just kind of reassess, if you like. Other times you've got new information, and what you thought at the first time is not what you think now, based
Yeah.
on new information. And then how you deal with that, and then how you deal with the rethinking of other people, you know, having other people rethink their position for a number of, you know, topics, stances, and how do you present in light, you know, new information or a new perspective that may impact someone else, or it may lead someone to rethink. So it's a good read. Boston Red Sox and the Yankees for the Americans. He could turn his hat around now. Well, is that in the New York? Yeah, you know, how do you get a
No bias.
yeah?
No
How do you
bias.
get like sports rivalry? That was an interesting topic. That's the chapter that I was on, in terms of, you know, how do you get someone who's a diehard Notre Dame fan going against North Carolina, or I mean, I just picked those two out because I don't know what the rivalry is. England, it would be like Arsenal and
not sure.
Spurs, right?
Or
Man
Manchester
City.
United
So
and
how
Man
do you-
City.
Yeah, City and United. So,
Yeah.
but
How do you get somebody to switch teams? Is that the
well,
question?
it's
Or switch
well,
loyalty?
yeah. I think from he's an organizational psychologist. He doesn't do therapy per se in that sense, but he looks at organizing psychology applied to organizations. So he'll take a, you know, he's a tenured professor, so he can make his own experiments.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be, how do you, what would it take? You know, it would, someone said they talked to a Yankees fan, and it says, if who would the Yankees need to play for you to root for them? He said it's to a Boston,
team.
a Red Sox fan. He says, who would the
Okay,
Yankees need to
gotcha.
play for you to be on their side, to root for them? And the person said, the Taliban.
I mean, I feel similarly,
Oh,
but
wow.
it'd have to be the Red Sox. It'd have to be the Red Sox playing the, you know.
There you
Taliban.
go. So yeah, you know, when you sort of start from that sort of position, it's interesting what it would take. And he's got some good insights in terms of what it does take, you know.
Well, that's one of those. I mean, sports fandom is one of those things that you kind of just set it and forget it, right? And the use of the, you know, Taliban is in the extreme, right? But I mean, that's to illustrate, like, that's a made up thing. You're not going to get me off of it. There's no, you know, there's no situation where that's going to change. I mean, there's, you know, far extreme situations, but you know, average day, it's not
Yeah.
changing. It's a made up decision. There's no room for
Yeah.
wiggle,
But
right?
there's a spectrum to that, though. I mean, I just wanted to looking at Alex there in terms of what she does with women coming into their own from a transition. There's a rethink there, whether you initiate, you know, whether it's from your side or it's a new situation brought onto you. It causes a rethink, you know, and what you do with that, how you process it, how you kind of, for me, it's like separating the value, belief, identity, because sometimes if they're all wrapped up, you could end up doubling down on something. I just am. I'm this, and I'm not gonna.
Well, that's what I'm saying with the
Mm.
with the fandom thing is like I just am. There is no, you can present all kinds of statistical, empirical evidence as to why I shouldn't be that thing, and it's not going to matter,
Mm.
right? I'm not changing. I am what I am.
That's why I love him. There you go. Any other thoughts?
I just think it's interesting that people will sometimes rethink, especially if situations aren't healthy for them. But because the unfamiliar is more scary, they'll double down on where they are and what's going on, because even though it's not comfortable, it's still better than the not knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a certain quality of safety about it. Even though it is not in your best interest, it's still familiar and you can, be contained in that.
Mm.
You know what to expect. You don't have to think about what's
Yeah.
coming next. How do I need to show up? What do I need to do? You just default to your basic, I don't know, being, I guess.
Mm.
And you know that.
Mm. And that's an interest. The book looks at thinking in ourselves, like us calling ourselves to rethink, and then the whole team fandom thing is how you present concepts, ideas, precepts to someone else that may inform them rethinking. And we always start from ourselves. Like brain, the brain is an energy hungry organ, disproportionately greedy. Therefore, it takes a lot of energy, but it's also spends a lot of time working on how to conserve energy. And if you got binary thinking on or off, that's a lot easier than having 15 options. And if you've done it in the past and you're not sure about what it's going to look like tomorrow, then you stick with what you did yesterday, then go out and do something new tomorrow. And that makes sense until things come up, either in that path being a rut that you've worn, and the environment changes, which then creates a different dynamic around you. The metaphorical ice age, right? Something's going to come and potentially wipe you out.
Well, the rut and from the brain, kind of physiology, energy perspective, like you're talking about, which is exactly where I went to, talking about staying in the same situation. The rut, from the brain physiological energy consumption perspective, is a good thing, right? From the brain's perspective, the rut is a good thing. We want to stay in that rut because we know exactly, we don't have to we don't have to expend energy to create new pathways or do new things. It's just we stay in that rut. But like Margaret said about safety, it may not be safe, right? Like there's different layers of
Yeah.
safety. It seems safe, the rut seems safe, but there may be life-threatening situations that seem safe, from that neurophysiological perspective that aren't actually safe for our well-being. Whether that's mental, physical, or otherwise.
Yeah, it's that familiarity piece, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the known entity versus the unknown entity.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it brings in the whole thing about fight, flight, threat, non-threat,
Yeah.
all of those sort of psychological perspectives. One of the things that I've been doing, my most recent bit of study was on physical intelligence. And physical intelligence talks about the capacity that we have to alter our internal biochemistry. So when we are feeling stressed, in other words, our cortisol and adrenaline are high, there are actually things that we can do physically to bring them down so that we are less afraid of putting ourselves out there and doing something different, challenging the old system. One of
Mm,
the best is dancing, by
that's
the
good.
way.
Yeah,
Thank you,
I've heard
Margaret.
that.
Dancing and cake.
Oh man,
Yeah.
those are a bit at odds depending
No,
on your goals, I guess.
not
But
at all, not at all, not at all. If you've expended the energy, it's got to come from somewhere, and cake's a good
yeah, fair
as
enough.
good an energy source as anything else. 5 a day, right, Carl?
All right.
5
That's my
cakes a day.
segue
Oh
today.
yeah.
By the
I
way,
can see
Alex,
my
Carl is a
video
cake
feed.
fiend.
Yeah.
He doesn't go 2 or 3 posts without mentioning the C word.
Why should I?
And it's in your LinkedIn tagline too, isn't it,
It
Carl?
is now. Yeah, it wasn't, but I
Yeah.
decided to add it. I've come out and I've admitted it. So, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, Margaret makes a lovely bit of cake. So, you know, I really have to say, if you love fruitcake, particularly dates, then you're in for a treat. It's really very nice, very rich, and I'm told it was it gluten free as well, Margaret?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
and vegan. You know,
yeah.
it's I thought you might like that, Steve.
Steve,
Steve.
yeah. I've always kind of, when Steve has got some cake and then he tells me it's gluten free, and I'm thinking, oh no, never mind. Do you remember Bruce? You remember Bruce Forsyth? And he had this little thing. He'd have the contestant next to him, and the contestant would say something, and he'd look at the audience. He'd say, "Shame, shame." Do you remember that? Good game, good game. Yeah, but shame. That's exactly what I thought about when you got your donuts. That donut that you ate with a chopstick, Steve. I'm never gonna get that out of my system, I'll tell you.
It was, it was an exercise of thinking again. It was an exercise in rethinking. Alex, I had a snack with me just before, it was a while back, but I wanted to eat something before I jumped on this call, and I had a donut, and I brought it upstairs, and I couldn't eat it with my fingers because I've got my keyboard here, and it's just, you just can't do it. It's
No.
it was a sugared ring donut. So what I did was, I thought, oh, you know what? I just cut it up into segments, bite-sized pieces, and then I used chopsticks, because then I wouldn't. It's no more than picking up a piece of
Yeah.
a dumpling.
That's what
It's the same size as the dumpling, but it's sweeter, and it worked. It kept my fingers clean for the keyboard, and it kept all the sugar on the plate and chopsticks are a very efficient feeding tool. If you
They
know how
are.
to use, really good. Chopsticks in a bowl.
If you can use them.
Yeah, chopsticks in a bowl, and you're done, because you don't have to spoon out the liquid. You just slurp it, and then you
I don't have fine motor skills though. I can barely use
really.
chopsticks.
Oh, shame.
Well, when she said physical intelligence earlier, I'm like, what does that mean? Because I feel like, I have this brain theory that people have different strengths in different parts of the brain, and I feel like my largest weakness in terms of like brain power is motor skills, directional, like awareness of three-dimensional space. And I feel like it's got to be in the same center of the brain. Like I used to struggle with right and left when I was younger. I mean, I still do, like, truth be known. But obviously, Steve, I can do other things that require a great deal of brain power in other arenas. And so I have this notion that, like I said, these diminished capacities that I have exist in some physical structure in the brain. And so I do struggle with chopsticks. And I always tell people, obviously, I have fine motor skills. I don't, I do have fine motor skills, but I exaggerate and say I don't. But I'm curious if that is part of physical intelligence, Margaret, that you were talking about.
Mainly the physical intelligence is about our capacity to alter the biochemistry. In other words,
Oh, right.
but what you're bringing up is an incredibly interesting thing, and that is our uniqueness as human beings. I often say we don't go to dinner parties and say to somebody, my fingerprints are so much nicer than yours. Don't you think that? We would never dream of comparing our fingerprints. And yet we compare so many other things. And so it says, my brain doesn't quite work the way yours does. However, there are other things that I do that maybe you can't do. And that's why we come together to support each other, to, cheer each other on, not in a competitive way, but in a supportive, holistic way.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
And
We
Carl,
don't compare
Carl,
fingerprints. Steve, you got to write that one down.
Carl got his cake because he's so fantastic at helping me with the things that I go, like tech.
Well, Steve and Justin are very, very techie. So
really?
if you can't reach me, they will. I don't know about Alex. Hi, Alex. We haven't actually met. I apologize for my video because my video is about 3 or 4 seconds out of sync with what I'm saying. But I know Steve and Justin are very techie. And do you know what? None of the three of us have ever sat down and talked techie. Although that's kind of what we've got in common. We've got so many other things in
Right.
common too. We never talk techie,
We got close
We
last
did,
time.
we did.
You were on about your Mac,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
we
gave you a
did.
little hard time, but we got close, but not quite. Yeah.
So if you need any help, Margaret, and I'm not around, then Steve and Justin will help you. Alex, are
Great.
you techie at all?
I am to a certain degree, but I got my tech monster at home, so I don't need to go far to get support.
Oh, lucky
So
you.
that's good.
Good.
Lucky you.
That's great.
Except he's Mr. Android and I am Miss Apple. So there's always a little bit of tension anytime we have to do anything techie.
That's
What
right.
you should say to him then, Alex, is look him straight in the eyes and say, if you haven't got an iPhone, you haven't got an iPhone.
And you know what? He will never
Sure
get an
word.
iPhone.
Yeah. That's that fandom
Yeah.
thing. I am an Android user to
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah,
Right?
he's
Yeah.
all the way.
Yes, it's entrenchment. It's interesting. I mean, bringing some of the points we just talked about, the physical intelligence in terms of our physiology can affect our physiology can impact
Yep.
us on a biological level.
Yes.
And I get that. I mean, people say to me, oh, so, you're whenever I see you, you're always smiling, and you just got a cheery disposition and this stuff. And I'm good with that. I've learned to accept the compliment, and because that's sometimes in society we can be very self-deprecated. In private I can be self-deprecating for sure, but I get it from my mum. I absolutely 100. I mean, with the trip we took for her birthday, we were 10 days just us. I've never spent that much time I spent that time with one person, but I've never spent that much time with my mum. We stayed in this. We stayed in a sort of bed sit, so we were sleeping in the same room. We had a studio in one of our places, studio in Paris, and a bed sit in Rome, and we were just in each other's space all the time. And it was so easy for us to laugh. It was so even amongst all of the trauma of travel, because we had some issues with Wi-Fi's and taxis and whatever. That having access to that physiological change, which is humor, or just seeing the light of it, or even while you're going through the tough bits, knowing that you're going to come back and laugh. Because even when it got kind of shirty, I knew in my heart there's going to be a time we're going to sit down on the bed and we go like, boy, you know what? Boy, last night was crazy. We'd have that. I knew it was coming. So to your point, those things lower. You get the activation of a state change, but you have the physiology to make it to actually mitigate it before it becomes chronic or you entrench it. And then the other thing is about what you just said about Apple and Android is that I think it could be one of the superpowers of Apple is that the product line is pretty small for such a large company. But they take quite a good size of your share of wallet. I mean, I have an iPhone, I have an Apple, I have a watch, phone, mini, iPad, and a Mac. And what was started? I think I started with the phone, then got the watch, then got the pads, and finished with the Mac. And it's one of those things whereby if you're okay with that and that's part of your ecosystem, then that's how you present it. It's your ecosystem. On the flip side, if that is a toxic ecosystem, you will entrench yourself with more things that will be harmful, detrimental to you. It might start with a relationship, and then it might go to your diet. It might show up at your workplace. It might show up in relationship with family members. And now you're building, instead of a virtuous cycle, you're building a toxic ecosystem.
Vicious cycle. Yeah.
Yeah, vicious cycle. And thinking again becomes even harder.
Well, entrenchment, like you said, entrenchment is the enemy of thinking again, right? I mean, that's what I said with the Yankees thing, or the sports thing specifically. I don't want to think again. I don't need to think again. It is what it is. I am what I am. Forget it. I'm not going to think again. And being open to thinking again is the opposite of entrenchment.
And I also wonder how much of entrenchment is ego.
Oh, 100%. And almost 100%. Very large. Yeah.
But again, I think entrenchment is one of the things that helps us to feel safe,
Yeah.
is that I don't have to think. I don't have to open my mind, which reminds me, can I share one of my favorite expressions? It's really important in life to be open-minded, but not to the extent that your brains fall out.
Boom.
I like
right up the fingerprint. Yeah, you gotta that's so true.
And I think also, we think along similar lines because it's working for us. It's not a challenge. It's really only when something becomes a challenge that we're almost forced to rethink. And then could I, change my mind or change my attitude to something?
I bet, Steve, I was thinking about, she just said that we're forced to because of environmental changes. I was thinking yesterday or today on a walk, I might add, that sometimes it might be a good idea to assess things like that on some interval. And I'd be willing to bet that you're all for that, given the 12-week program. Is that fair to say? That assessing your anything really on some interval is a good idea, not waiting on the external influence?
I think so. And I had a great chat with some of us know her on this call, Sandra Norris, and we touched on the power of self-awareness, and I think that ties in because it's useful when you think again. It requires you to have an element of self-awareness. Because either you're initiating the thinking again, you could have a system that says, okay, you have a sprint and you do something and you have a review period, and that's your opportunity to think again. And it's kind of, it's part of the process, to the point where you don't have to think about thinking again, because at the end of the sprint you're going to think again. So, and thinking again doesn't necessarily mean changing mind. And I think that's one of the things about the book that really kind of struck with me, is that I first thought that was the path it was about. Oh no, I read into it that thinking again is like changing your mind. And depending on, you know, we can have a bad rap about changing minds, you know, shifting careers, or, you know, changing relationships, or all sorts of things that can come up in our things, and people's expectations of you because you've changed.
Yeah.
And that then becomes well, I might not want to think again because of what it means to think again. But I think there's a usefulness, like you said. Yes, there's a usefulness of over a period, within a period, as it goes on, as it happens. You don't wait for the end of the X week, day, month. There's a need to be self-aware. I've got a confession here. I wrote it down, like reverse Parkinson's law. If I think that it's Parkinson's law is work expands to fill the time. And for me, I did it in reverse, which was I had a task I wanted to get done, and I let the time expand in order for me to finish the work. And it wasn't at the detriment of the time that I spent on the job. So I should have thought again and said, it's too late. If I've given it the time it needed, it's sunk cost. It's sunk cost fallacy. I'm like, I'm going to get this done. I'm a techie. I know I should know better. This is not going to be smarter than me, even with ChatGPT and Claude helping me. I'm going to.
Hello, ego.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Ego's like, ooh, it's late, Steve.
Yeah.
It's like, get away. It was, and I'm saying it here on a live because it tied into the self-awareness discussion I had with Sandra. You've got to stop and go, Steve, you idiot. That's not necessarily the smartest use. And you can think again.
Yeah.
It wasn't me beating myself up as much as recognizing it, being aware, and then knowing I can rethink. So I hope people, that's all we can want for each other, because the world is so dynamic. To be not stuck, but to be rigid. Yeah. Agility, to bring up with Carl's word.
I think too. Go on.
Just to interrupt quickly, Justin, I'm going to have to go because I'm being called for dinner because I've got a 6 o'clock gig that I've got to be in. So I'll have to say goodbye, but I'll just leave you with this thought. You just come up with something really interesting that I'd love to examine further. Reverse Parkinson's law. That's really, really important. But we should be able to change our mind on especially with anything that we're doing at any time. And the Agile Manifesto, which is something that Agile people tend to follow, I think it's principle number 2. I might be wrong, it's a while since I've read it. It says, accept changes even late in the development. So, when you're developing a product, particularly a software product, you do it all at the beginning, and you do the spec, everyone says what they want, and then we can't change it, it's going to cost you a fortune. If you're agile, you're continually inspecting what the feedback is that you're getting from the business or whoever it might be, the outside customers especially, and you're adapting what you're doing even late in the development. That's the discipline that we should have in all of our lives. If we can do it in software development, we can do it in everything else. So I'll leave you with that thought, bid you goodbye, wish I could stay.
Enjoy your dinner, Carl. We'll catch up soon. Thank you, bro.
Okay.
Let's get that podcast done while you're writing.
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to say too that the idea of the willingness and openness to think again, like you're saying, I haven't read the book. I don't know very much about it at all, but that doesn't necessarily mean, like you said, you're going to change, but being willing to change is the opposite, not necessarily the opposite, but it goes against the entrenchment that we've been talking about too, right? Like I might not change, but I'm willing to examine my position. Yeah. And even though it might stay the same, I'm willing to at least look at it. Yeah. That's a big difference.
Yeah. And building on what you're saying, Justin. I think the other thing is we talked a lot about self-awareness, and not everybody's self-aware,
No.
right? So I think when, and I know because that was me. But when I kept hearing people say the same thing to me, I was like, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something that I need to dig into to
Mhm.
figure this thing out. And sometimes that awareness comes from ourselves, but sometimes we have to be humble enough to listen to what other
Yeah.
people see, because that's the mirror that we're putting out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so true. That is so true. Yeah. The willing, I mean, the willingness to think again, it's that's the process. The outcome may be that you change, the
Mm.
outcome may be that you stay the same,
Mhm.
and both of them will be made with the intention to serve, to keep you safe, to serve you. You're not going to do it to your detriment, or you ought not to be, or you try not to do things to your detriment. But when we throw out the idea of thinking again, then I think we often do ourselves more of a disservice than actually just entertaining the idea that we could rethink, because it does push at those safety buttons that say, why change, why now, I don't want to, it's too much effort. But we've all got the history, we all got stories of taking that step, and then looking back after that step and going, man, I'm glad I did. I'm glad someone pointed it out to me. I'm glad I'd stepped up. And you don't have to do it alone. That's the nice thing about it as well. It's not. It doesn't have to be a solo effort. And changes others.
Yeah.
And that becomes another factor. It's one thing if we don't want to change. I'm good, thank you, I don't need that. But if that position is going to affect those around me, or those that are in my sphere of influence, then I may have to think about things differently, just so that
There's something that comes up for me as you're talking, Steve, and that is the whole concept of agency. So if I feel that you're insisting that I change or think again, I might be much more resistant than when you invite me to think again.
Yeah.
That's interesting for sure.
Yeah, Adam Grant talks about the three, that there's the three types of people. There's the preacher, there's the prosecutor, and there's the politician.
Mm.
And sometimes, I mean, I guess these, though, I mean, even as I said the names, you can think of how they are positioning themselves to instill a change. The preacher may come at you with a sense of oughtness or should. And then the prosecutor will just tell you that, the finger wagging, you're wrong. And the politician is really just cajoling,
manipulative. Yeah.
Waffling.
or waffling. So yeah, I mean, it's agency. And those personas are inside us too.
Well, I'm wondering if if the book prescribes like an assessment to figure out where you fall in that,
I think the upshot is that they all show up in different places and different times. If they, you may a fandom in sports may show up more in terms of, well, prosecutor preacher. This is what my team does, love them, and this is why you should follow them. And then you support who?
Right.
They are all the all the things, and you build one up as you build up the persecution or prosecution. You kind of offset that by building up the faith or the sort of the preachiness of your team.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I think, if we think again and the experience that we have is negative, how likely are we, how much more difficult is it going to be to think again next time?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Right? Because the
Yes.
association is that, well, I changed my mind or I thought about it or whatever, and look at what happened. My whole life fell apart, right?
Yeah.
Versus I thought again, and this is how much better it is. That's part of the conditioning, because the more you do, if you have so-called negative results,
Mhm.
right? It's all in our perception. If we see something, even though the universe does everything for our greater good, if your perception is that
Yeah.
you went back and either stayed the same or, made a change, and the result was negative, then how are you going to do it again next time?
Yeah. Yeah. Was it our chat, Alex, that we talked about? I think it could have been. I had a podcast chat, and I thought it was you. We talked about someone deciding and then deciding again.
Yeah, I was relaying a conversation I had with my mentor because I was having a difficult time making a decision about something for work.
Mm.
And she looked at me in her infinite wisdom. She's like, why? She's like, if you don't like how it turns out, just make a different decision. And it was just such a stupid, simple thing. But it was like, yeah, I make a decision. I'm not stuck with that decision. It's not like, it's not a prison sentence. I can
No.
always go back and make a different decision that's going to make it better, might make it worse, and then I'll make another decision. And I mean, our life is really nothing more than a series of decisions.
Mm.
True story.
Mm.
I'm one of those people
Good memory, by the way.
As you said that, I'm thinking, I thought it was you.
I'm one of those people that can get really attached to decisions, or
Mm.
really resistant to change. You make a big, quote, big decision, buy a house or whatever. You can sell a house, but like in my mind, if you buy a house, that's it. It's written in stone. You're done. But that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I'm kind of becoming more aware of all the time. Is like, number one, things are going to change, like externally. The world is going to change. But like you just said, that you have decisions to make around those things, and you can always revisit those decisions and change those decisions. Nothing is fixed. Nothing
Yeah.
is fixed. And that's for me personally, that's a hard concept to swallow, is that nothing is fixed, because I like set it and forget it. That's why when Steve's trying to hire me, it was very difficult. That was a very difficult decision. Again, it was a great decision. I couldn't have infinitely better than I could have ever imagined. But because I'm so very set it and forget it, all right, especially back then 8 years ago, it was incredibly difficult.
It's interesting. The three characteristics showed up in that journey, in a sense.
Definitely.
Because there is that people going, oh, prosecute, cut him off.
Yeah.
Done. And then I guess in some respects, I'm preaching to them the benefits of enduring this journey.
Yeah.
And then there's a little bit of that. There's some of the politicking in terms of navigating the space.
Mhm.
In a not cheesy politicking in terms of just kind of trying to win something over, but genuinely trying to investigate, find out what the lie of the land is and where things are. And again, to Margaret and Alex's point, in terms of when you're in a space where, I think when you're in a space where you feel safe,
Mhm.
all right, physiologically, psychologically safe.
Yeah.
then both parties, it's not a matter of me trying to make you feel safe so that you open up to me.
Yeah.
We have to be in a safe space
Mm.
so that my antennas are flickering differently and your antennas are flickering differently, so that you can explore more. You
Yeah.
know, we know that we have different fingerprints.
Mm.
At the same time, you know, we have an opportunity to explore things more. And
Yeah.
and often in corporate or in work or even in certain situations, constraints can come in the way of that safety.
Yeah.
If I had to go through a gazillion resumes and had to close a deal, and I've got 3 more interviews to do, and then Justin wants to jump on a call with me, you know, one more time to go over stuff, and I'm like, I got to take his call, right? I mean, and that's key. That's key. And to your point, Alex, you know, you don't know whether a change of taking thinking a rethink is going to be in your benefit or not. I think now that I rethink things less with the outcome in mind
Yeah.
and more with the
Mm.
discipline or the action of rethinking.
And I think that's what I was talking about with the interval thing, right? Like being open to thinking again, whether you change or not, at least, you know, evaluate where we're at, where, you know, does this align with where we want to go, et cetera.
Yeah.
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 If I may toss in something here that I feel quite strongly about, and that is, I don't know about you, I can only speak for myself. My schooling was there was a right way and a wrong way.
Mm.
And if you got it wrong, you were either stupid or hadn't paid attention. All of this smack, you know, naughty girl. And I'm passionate about the whole thing about play. You know, I always say work and play are both 4-letter words. I know which one I prefer. And the whole idea of experimentation, trying something out, not in a threatening way, that just says, let's have a look. If we did it this way, what would the outcome be? So there aren't consequences. You're going to get smacked or marked down or in the corner with a dunce hat on or whatever it was, you know. That ability to literally play with the options until we find the right fit or the right idea for today and for this occurrence.
Yeah.
Which may not be the same for tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's the difference between judging and being curious, right? It's
Yeah.
approaching it from a place of, like you said, right and wrong, which is good, bad
Yeah.
judgment versus
Yes.
let's explore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's a very different energy.
Yes. Oh man.
Completely. What are you getting excited about there, Steve?
Yeah, because it just dawned on me that we are so much more forgiving to AI getting things wrong
Hmm.
than we are to a person getting things wrong.
Hmm.
If I could walk up here and say, I mean, well, this is a bit of contrived space because it's my drop in and you've come and we know each other. There's an implicitness that this is a safe space.
Yes.
But imagine you go to a conference or you go to an interview or you're in a space where you've often got a persona that you have to present. You don't have
though?
a disclaimer saying I could be wrong on your, you know, every AI platform tells you I could get this so wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
I do that. I say it all the time. I said I could be wrong. It comes out very naturally. I say I could be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong in this, you know, particular instance. Sometimes it's the two-parter. Sometimes it's just I could be wrong. A lot of times it's I'd be happy to be wrong, and I'll say something.
And being wrong is the on ramp to rethinking.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a judgmental being wrong. It's merely saying, oh, okay, I didn't choose the right path on this one. Let's experiment with another one or play with another one.
It's like
'Cause
when
it's
you make a
open.
wrong turn and the GPS tells you you're going the wrong way. You got to turn over here and then make another left and then make another right and then you're back on track.
Oh well. I gotta run. It's been great meeting you,
Yeah, I
ladies.
gotta run
Man,
too.
Thank you so
Nice
much.
to
good
meet
Thank you
you.
so
stuff.
much.
Such
We're at the
good
bottom-
stuff.
We're at the bottom of the hour, and I tend to run this just for an hour, but that's good. Justin, thank you so much. But
It was nice meeting you guys.
Yes.
Yes.
Any
Nice to
final
meet you too.
thoughts? Oh, this
I
has
think
been
we've said it
fantastic,
all.
Margaret. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did, and I
thank-
just found it, I was browsing and suddenly I thought, oh, well, it's right now. So I jumped on, but how do I find it again?
if it works for you, it's I'm here every Wednesday at 4:30 UK.
Okay, and how do I find it on your LinkedIn?
Yeah, we're connected. I normally send out an invite and it shows up there. But
Lovely.
that's great.
All right,
Alex,
guys, I gotta
thank you so
run.
much. All right, take care.
See you
Don't forget, you
soon.
can decide again. You can always.
I know. Trust me, that's a lesson that I've learned.
All right, take care.
All
Thank you
right,
so
take
much.
care.
All right then.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. How do I jump off this?
Just close the browser.